really been anticipating this evening to be in the presence of all these wonderful athletes that did so much and gave so much for the University of Missouri. They've come from far-flung places, California, Minnesota, and where all, I don't know. I was pleased to see the beautiful and talented Nastasia Kaiser, the head coach at Drake. I remember her well. She was such a terrific runner, and I know she must be a terrific coach. My greatest fear in getting up here tonight is that I would neglect to identify or call out some of the people that meant so much to me. I have a deep love for these athletes, and I know that this team in particular sacrificed a lot in order to win a championship. I know, for example, that Scott Clark, who had been a two-time half-mile champion and was a shoo-in to be a third time, but he was willing to give up a sure thing in order to double in another event, which didn't give him enough time to recover to win his specialty. But the combination of the points he won in the two events added up to more than he would have gotten in the one event. I start naming names and I'm going to make a big mistake. I have seen a few of the athletes through the years. Dan Levitt and his lovely wife have visited us on several occasions, and I've seen Steve Moore and his lovely wife visit us when we were in Florida, and I've had the opportunity to have dinner with Nat Page during the Atlanta Olympics, and Nat was one of the guys that was unselfish with his talent. As great as he was as a high jumper, he was always willing to hurdle, which he was very good at, or to triple jump, and sometimes at the expense of his number one event. Chidi Imo, a seven-time Olympian and a silver medal winner in the Olympics, if he isn't a prospect for the Athletic Hall of Fame, then I think they could close up the shop. There are other athletes in this audience and others that were Missouri athletes that are deserving of being in the Athletic Hall of Fame. I know that with the emphasis on football and particularly basketball, it's very difficult to get athletes into the Hall of Fame. I have never been on the selection committee, and I never knew the members of the selection committee except two. One of them resigned upset over the way it was handled, and the other fellow is no longer with us. So I think there are some former athletes that figured that I was probably could get them in the Hall of Fame. I suspected that Coach Botts was on the committee, and I found out only recently that he was, but I digress. Anyway, I owe a big debt to the great Tom Botts for having confidence in selecting me as his first full-time assistant, and to the great Don Farrell, great coach, great camping, fishing, and hunting buddy. He wrote the letter that first got me into coaching. As most of you probably know, I took quite a circuitous route to coaching. I never planned to coach, but that's another story. But I would like to recognize my family being here. I know that Shirley, my wife, never thought she was going to be married to a coach, and, with long hours and many days away on recruiting or track trips. And then she was left to raising the 5 children. Of course, they were perfect, but nevertheless, that was quite a chore. And I appreciate that, Shirley. And I'm very, very proud to have almost all of the family here. 4 of our 5 children, the spouses, and 1 grandchild, 2 grandchildren. And anyway, I would like to thank the university for setting this up and for all of the people that were responsible for seeing that it came about. One last remark. I remember when DeLoss Dodds was coaching at Kansas State, former athletic director at Texas. After an indoor meet, I said to DeLoss, I'm going to take the team down to Louisiana for spring break. He said, Bob, you've got to be crazy. And he said, I would never do that. Well, I did it, and I would have to say that there were occasions when I reflected on DeLoss's wonderment about my going. But all in all, it was for the team, it was a good experience. They had the opportunity to work out on an all-weather track, which we didn't have, and they were able to work on their handoffs, on their stride patterns and everything. But anyway, it was a good thing, and I treasured my years here. And I know some people wonder why we ever left Columbia, but sitting out here is a large part of it. Our family, some living in Flat Rock, North Carolina, and some living in Birmingham, which is not too far away. And Melissa is way out in Texas, but we get to see her on a regular basis. But as I say, I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of my athletes, and I'm proud that you came here. I'm proud of what you accomplished, and I wish you Godspeed, all of you. Thank you.